DryWaffle.
Hello! Welcome back.
We are back.
DryWaffle's back in the building.
Yeah, we are.
But a different building.
A different building.
It is. It's a very special building.
It is.
It's our new home.
It's our new home, hence the very white background.
We're not showing you the rest of it yet. We're
No.
gonna get it set up so we've got another
cool and funky again.
background again.
Yeah.
But for now, you're stuck with this beige thing here, and I'm not talking about Bethany.
No. No, but we're back.
We're back.
That's why we've been a bit quiet, because we've been a bit busy.
It's episode 11.
It's episode 11. Legs 11.
Legs 11. We've
We've moved a house. Yeah, we've moved our lives. We haven't physically moved the house, but we've moved our lives from one house into a new house, which is stressful.
It's very stressful, and we don't have the mental capacity to do both.
Yeah.
So sorry if we've gone quiet.
But we're back now.
But we're back, and we're gonna get going again.
Yeah.
You've also you did your run as well, didn't you?
I did my first ever 10K.
I went to watch. It was a very, very proud experience because I know how hard you trained for it. You've never run that far before.
No, I'd never ran 10K, so it was the first time I'd ran 10K both in a race and physically in my life, which I was extremely emotional and proud of myself for.
And you said you'd never have done that if it wasn't for quitting alcohol, didn't you?
No, I definitely wouldn't. I was getting to 5K when I was drinking, but I just don't think I would have kept going. And now my plan is to do the half. We're going to do the half, aren't we?
We are going to do the half.
We're going to do the half in October.
Yeah. We also bought a tent box. We have bought a tent box with tent box wankers.
Yeah.
So
officially,
get used to it. Because there's going to be
about to come on a journey, people. A big journey.
Camping photography journey. Yeah,
it's about to get real. We're just gonna take you on.
We're going camping. We're going to be doing a lot of camping.
Yeah.
And
that'll be nice. Though it might inspire people.
Starting next week, we're going to Scotland. We're going to Scotland for 10 days. Ish. We're doing the north coast of Scotland in the tent box.
500 out
with a couple of friends who have also got tent boxes and campers and stuff. So.
Yeah.
So we're very excited about that.
Very excited.
And you know what? That is something that I would have not wanted to do if I was still drinking. I'd be like, I want to go on a sun holiday where it's just like drinking on the beach or drinking at the bar or drinking in the club or just drinking.
In the club.
It would not have appealed to me to go camping in the wild.
Yeah.
But now I'm like,
we can't wait.
I'm not thinking of anything better.
Just can't wait to get in the wilderness. I'm personally using this as a very reset holiday. I want to do yoga on a hilltop, and I want to start journaling. I want to read books. I want to stargaze in my tent box.
When I say we're camping in the wild, we're camping on campsites with electric.
Yeah.
But we are camping. And we would not have done that before if it wasn't for sobriety. I don't think so anyway. Yeah. So we're excited about that.
Yeah. But today's episode is also very exciting.
Today's episode was fantastic. Actually, it was the second time we've done this episode. We'll let you into a little secret because the first time we tried it, the video didn't work. No, the
audio wasn't good enough for this podcast.
Technical problems.
And this guy was not happy.
Well, the thing is, we're having to use Zoom to do our meetings. Or if we want guests, we have to do it via Zoom because people live all across the UK. Yeah. It's not easy just to come and meet people. We haven't got a space to do it. So our plan in the future is to have a dedicated space to do the podcast. We have a proper camera set up and it'll all look flash. But for now, we're in the trenches. We're starting from the bottom. And we're on Zoom.
Started from the bottom now.
No offense, Zoom, but
we want to get to that.
That being said, sorry, you're just going off on a rap tangent. Sorry about that. I was just completely ignoring that fact like it's normal. She does this all the time.
DryWaffle.
Today's episode, who is it? What was it?
So we are joined by the wonderful Polly and Brie, who are a mother and daughter who are just incredible, really, aren't they? They've been on such an inspirational journey with their sobriety, and obviously they've gone through it together as a result of being mother and daughter. Brie kind of took the helm as daughter and went sober first, and then she inspired Polly. Polly was 57 when she went sober. She's now 61, and oh my God, what a woman, right? Like, she's just amazing. Like, she's completely turned her life around, her health around. She's now just about to become a full-time sober coach. Brie as well is just about to open up her own kind of health and fitness facility with a partner
who's also sober.
Yeah, just they've completely turned their lives around, their careers around.
Yeah.
And it's just an amazing story, and we're really excited to share it. So yeah, so should we hand over?
Why not?
Thanks very much. Wait. What if they like this episode?
If you're listening on Spotify, click the button. Give us a follow. It pushes it for us.
Yeah,
so that
really
would do us a massive favour.
And if you want to write us a review, that also helps.
Yeah. Also, if you want to send us any money, send us a tenner. No, I'm joking. Just listen and like it.
Yeah.
That'll do.
And we're on social as well. So TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah.
Follow us there. But we hope you enjoy this episode, and see you on the other side.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello, I'm Bobby.
And I'm Betty.
And this is DryWaffle. On the 5th of August 2024, we made the decision to take the plunge and go sober. After years of binge drinking, bad decisions, crazy nights, kitchen sessions and close calls, we decided that alcohol was no longer serving a purpose in the lives we wanted to build.
So we're here to share our sober journey with you. Real talk, real stories with no judgment and no bullshit. Just honest chats, proper laughs and probably a few tears and tantrums thrown in too.
Whether you're already sober, sober curious or somewhere in between trying to work out what the hell's going on, you're not alone, and this podcast could be just for you.
So go on, grab a brew, get settled and let's waffle.
DryWaffle.
Right, well, thank you both so much for coming on. It's been super duper excited about this conversation. I think you've both got just we think you've both got a really interesting kind of story to tell, being mother and daughter, and both sober and having kind of each of your journeys. So yeah, just really excited to kind of have you on and talk through that. So I'm going to kind of straight off hand over to you for you to tell us a bit more about kind of your sober journey and how you've got to where you are today. Who's first?
Shall I go first?
Go for it.
All right. So I'm Polly, and I became sober at 57, which is quite late in life. And I'm now 61, so I've been sober. It'll be 4 years, July 4th. That was my Independence Day, so to speak. So yeah, looking forward to that. I for a long time was kind of just drinking, kind of the normal drinking, kind of culturally kind of acceptable drinking, kind of through my 20s and my 30s, and had 2 children during that time. Kind of when I was pregnant, was able to not drink, and your body telling you it's fine, you don't need to drink right now. Didn't have a problem with that. Went right back to it. Couldn't wait to like have a drink after being pregnant. And then I think as my job got more stressful and I got more promotions, I work in kind of educational leadership, and was qualified as a special needs coordinator, a Senko, and then became a head teacher, and then became an executive head. It just became more stressful, and I noticed the kind of drinking kind of ramping up. And I went through a period where I got divorced, and I decided at that point, I think I was 46, I think at that point, I wouldn't drink, and I didn't drink for a year because I wanted to make sure that I was in control. And I think it was, I didn't have a proper reason for my why. It was just, I just needed to get divorced. And once I was divorced, I kind of celebrated and went back to drinking. And again, it started ramping up. And I think for a lot of people, we go through that period of like wanting to moderate and thinking, oh, if only I could moderate, let's just try it. So I would have periods where I have a month off and then go back right to it. And again, you know, it just got to the point where for health reasons, I started to see a real decline in my health with kind of palpitations, really bad kind of heart rate, and stress, and high cholesterol, and was on lots of medication. And I thought, what am I doing? I need to get control of it. And so again, I didn't go, actually, I'm quitting for life. It was like, I'm not going to drink and let's see how it goes. And it just kind of, I just felt better and better and better. And I thought, why would I even want to? So that's kind of my journey. But going back, I mean, I started drinking when I was like, probably, I remember my dad coming in with a glass of whiskey when I was doing my homework when I was 14. I've got that kind of memory in my head to help me sleep, to give hilarious, isn't it? So yeah.
It's
Crazy.
interesting with your when you stopped for that year, that you stopped because of stress, because obviously a lot of people actually go the opposite way and end up drinking more during stressful times. So to have stopped during a stressful period, understood the benefits at that time for the help that it gave, but then to go back and like I'm guessing that was just because of the societal pull of booze and just getting involved and
Yeah, absolutely. And I kind of I started dating, and that was like, oh my gosh, you know, dating when you're sorry, Hilary, I know you don't want to hear this, and you're
any
like
age is
40s, 50s.
nerves.
So it's nerves, and I think it was the kind of cultural norm of people going, do you want to go out for a drink? That's where you meet people. So I went right back into it, and I thought, well, I'll just have one, and then it just kind of grew and grew and grew. But yeah, I think that strength of knowing what your why is, and when it became my health, that is a big difference to kind of just you know, quitting because I'm going through a divorce. Your health really made a difference to my kind of why.
That the dating sober thing, because I was dabbling with going sober quite a few times before I got with Bethany, and I was single for quite a few years. And during that time, I went on quite a few dates sober, and it's so weird. You feel so out of place because most people drink. And then if you say, because I've said a few times, oh, I won't be drinking. I don't drink. And they've come, and it's almost like an interrogation when you're on the date. Then just like,
why don't you drink?
Why are you not drinking? Like, and it just never feels like you have a proper connection with people that do drink on a first date when you're trying not to. You
When
know,
actually
it's difficult anyway.
if you went on a date for drinking, you'd probably have a deeper connection.
Well, our first date was a sober
it was.
first date, and it was good.
Completely.
Well, it was obviously really good.
So how about you, Bree? Tell us your journey.
Sure, yeah. So I'm about 4.5 years sober now. I quit drinking in 2021 on Christmas Day. So I was 30 at the time. And yeah, my story is pretty similar to anyone who's grown up in England. I feel like drinking from a young age, being bought alcohol to go to you know, sleepovers. I would have alcohol. I got very used to using alcohol to kind of help with my confidence at a young age, so I never really learnt true confidence, because I always had the booze for whatever it was that I was going on, dating, like you mentioned. And then I got into kind of working in the hospitality industry, and that kind of just fueled the fire, as it were. So I became a professional drinker at that stage, I would say, and I would just go out every night. It was kind of, I would get to work, I would have a few drinks while I was working, we would try different wines, and then after I finished work, we would really hit the town. And yeah, I just loved the whole kind of the party. I identified with it at that point. So that was kind of my hobby. That's what I did. I didn't really have any other hobbies. It was drinking and partying, and that was it. And then, yeah, so I moved back from the States in 2020 when lockdown and COVID happened. And yeah, I think we had one quite boozy lockdown together, where we drank every single day, I would say, probably. Yeah, every single day. And I made myself really quite sick during that period of time. And over the following kind of year or so, over 2020, and then up until when I quit, and December 2020 I quit, yeah. I kind of stopped and started, which I think is quite common for a lot of people. So I went for a few months without drinking, and I was like, this goal to kind of, at the time, was to lose weight, to get fit. And I thought, right, that doesn't align with drinking. So I quit for a few months, and then I'd have a blast. I'd have like a big night out. And because I hadn't drank in ages, it would go overboard. And then I would say, right, I'm definitely not going to drink. And I did that a few times, I would say. And then the final kind of straw, because I was a binge drinker, I could never kind of just have one. It was very much all or nothing for me. And it would be the weekends, but it would also be sometimes during the week. You know, there really wasn't any boundaries. It was like, yeah, if people were about, I was about. Sure, let's get on it.
Especially in the hospitality industry as well. It's just
Yeah,
right the
it's
midweek.
any day. It's any day of the week, exactly. So yeah, I think so I got to my birthday, just about to turn 30, went out, got pissed, and yeah, I just took it too far, like I always do. And then I had some real kind of deeper thinking, I guess, around why I was choosing to not drink. Was it just to do with getting fit, or was there more? And I think spending time on my own, because I was living in the cottage, my mum's cottage down in Cornwall, on my own, I think I had that time to go, oh, it's actually more important that I do this for other reasons. And those were kind of like, yeah, deeper connections, like you said, and just feeling like I had more in my life, more things that would make me feel fulfilled, and drinking just wasn't doing it for me. So I had that realization, but then Christmas came.
As it does.
And it went out the window again, and I was like, oh my God, what is going on? And then I worked through okay, celebration is tied up in this thing for me. And I knew commiserate, like being angry and stressed, was definitely a part of because hospitality, and I kind of, like mum, I worked my way up and I was managing lots of different things. So I knew that stress was a result of my drinking. But I completely forgotten about the whole celebration thing. So Christmas came around, and I had a couple drinks, and I was like, of course I'm going to have a couple drinks. Why would I not? I can't not have drinks at Christmas. And I woke up the next day and was like, it was the first time where I was like, oh, it didn't actually add anything. I would have had a really nice time without it. And I think that was just like it was the last time, because I was like, oh, I actually don't need it. I could have still had the exact same experience, probably better, no hangover, without the 2 or 3 glasses of wine that I had. So I knocked it on the head. Yeah.
So for me, for example, I've known that I need to stop drinking since I was probably 18, 19, going into my 20s. I've known that one day I'm going to have to stop, but I just never found the right time, or found I was able to, or knew how to. And it was always like a vicious cycle, but I knew in my head, like, I have to stop drinking at some point, because I'm going to mess things up over and over again. It sounds like you might have just thought maybe I just don't like how this feels. I feel it could be better. Or are you similar? Do you think there was a moment earlier on, like years before you stopped, that you was like, I know I'm gonna have to stop one day for the way it's going, or
Yeah, I don't think I was as conscious to any of it. Like I was just kind of I don't know how to, I just didn't skip a beat. Like I went to work, I went out, I went to work, I went out. I knew that I wasn't happy deep down because, you know, I was pretty much the brunt of a lot of people's jokes. I was the entertainment when we went out. Mondays were about kind of scraping my dignity off the floor, like what was left of it, and trying to piece together like my finances so that I could not continue to live and pay
Laughing at breathe at Polly's face.
yeah, and that would just be a cycle, and I just did it over and over again every single week throughout my whole of my 20s, and I didn't ever really stop to think. I think it was the turning 30 bit when I was like, oh, everybody's got their, well, I know nobody has their shit together.
Yeah. But they look that way.
It looks like that way, and I started going, oh, people are kind of doing stuff and I'm not doing anything. I'm just still kind of living for that party. And I think that was the moment where I was like, because for me, career is really important because I've grown up with my mum, and my mum's very career driven, and that's kind of always been instilled in me. But I was keeping myself stuck. I could feel it.
yeah.
I think I was very similar. Like before I met Bobby, like I was so not conscious of any of it. Like I was, you know, I work in hospitality as well, and I have lived that life. I lived in London for 8 years, and very much the same. Like you just constantly going and going and going and running. You know, it wasn't just, you know, Friday or Saturday night. It was Thursday, Friday, Saturday as a minimum. It might have even been Tuesdays as well. And I didn't stop. There was no part of me inside that was thinking there was another option with it. Like it was just like, it's part of life. Like you know, you just need to get up and crack on every weekend. And that's meeting you was kind of, you showed me a different way almost.
I suppose as well, like just hearing what you said there, it's like I think we were different in the sense of you were obviously doing well in your job, you were keeping things together,
Yeah,
even if it
just-
made you feel bad, you were keeping it together, you were functioning.
Yeah.
Whereas when I drank, it was like function went out the window completely, and like I would repeatedly like mess things up.
Yeah.
Whereas you were I guess you
Yeah,
were
I was functioning, but it was in decline. Like it was starting to, I think obviously I'm getting older, so then your age starts to impact that. And, you know, the hangovers were getting worse. Like they were getting like, you know, ill hangovers, and I was letting people down more, and my work was starting to be impacted. And again, similar to you, Brie, like I'm really passionate about my career and, you know, my work. I always have been. So when that started to go, and then obviously meeting Bobby and having these conversations around alcohol, it just all started to go like, oh, okay, there is.
Yeah, it's really odd, isn't it? Because you're like, oh, duh.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I cannot drink this thing.
Yeah, it's a weird option that I'd never considered ever.
Yeah. But it just
I
completely came.
was going to
Sorry.
say, I spent a lot of time thinking about not drinking.
Mm.
And like making kind of rules for myself around, and I don't know if you both have had that, where you were kind of trying to moderate. Like I had like a million apps where I would like put in like, you know, one drink, and if I drank vodka or gin and tonic, that would be better than drinking wine, and so I'd go on to that, and I was allowed to have this, but I couldn't have that.
Wait
and
till after lunch, or wait.
Literally spent my whole time trying to
Control the
moderate,
knot.
trying to
Yeah.
control the knot.
Yeah.
Actually, it's been so exhausting.
And like counting what
Yeah.
other people are drinking, so that I would do that when I was around proper folk. I would go, what's everyone else drinking? And then I'd just kind of look back and I'd be like, "Oh, can I pour another one yet?" Like,
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
funny that we try and facilitate the alcohol. Like
Yeah.
I remember thinking maybe I'm just not like, because I'm a binge drinker and I go weeks without it and then I hit it hard. Maybe I need to like drink bits during the week so I can get used to it. Maybe it's that. So it'd be like a Tuesday and I'd go, right, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have 2 beers tonight. And then I'd have them 2 beers and that'd be it. I'd be off.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't in work the day after.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was like, what am I doing? I'm trying to wean myself onto it. Like it's some kind of, like, you know.
Crazy ideas we have.
But
Very-
you really influenced me because I
Yeah,
think
that's I was just going to say. So, what was the difference between the two of you in terms of time? So, Bree was sober first. So, how did that then impact you, Polly? Like, how did that help? Did it help?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, Hilary, so you were sober at Christmas, and you were training and doing your life coaching, and so I saw a massive shift in you and kind of the way that you suddenly became ultra responsible and just kind and a different person. I was just seeing a completely different person. I just thought, how amazing is this woman becoming without alcohol? And I think you had the skill set in terms of the coaching that you were kind of drip feeding me a little bit about kind of
Well, I was using the
alcohol.
life coaching course for myself, really.
Yeah, but it was helping for me as well. So I just wasn't aware of what was out there, and I think you kind of brought that knowledge to me around, and you gave me some books, and I started reading the books. I started reading the Catherine Gray book and podcasts, and I was like, oh my God,
Instagram accounts.
this is a whole world out here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I started to really absorb it all. And then I got to the May, and I had a really bad kind of heart rate issue where my heart rate went over 200, and I was kind of kidding myself. I knew what it was drinking.
Mm.
And I kind of had a heart to heart with myself and said, that's it. I made a kind of pact to myself that I would start to bring it down and have alcohol free through kind of June, but I wouldn't make the commitment until July 4th, because I kind of thought that's my kind of day.
Yeah.
I didn't tell anybody. I just did it, but I told you, and then you kind of took me through kind of accountability. We kind of met once a week online or on phone calls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so just be able to talk to someone and have that accountability, I think really helped me. And that was it really. And we just went from there, didn't I? And I became really, so motivated by it, because suddenly could see how I felt, which was completely different this time.
How long do you think it took for you to really see those differences in your health?
So I started to see things happening. I felt, the initial kind of burst of sleep. So I felt like right away I was getting sleep, which was making a big difference, because I just wasn't sleeping at all. I'd be waking up at 3 a.m. thinking, drunk again, why did I do that? Blah, 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 feeling guilt, the whole thing. But it wasn't until the Christmas, it was a December, that I went back to the doctors. Because I had high cholesterol and was on all this medication. I decided to come off the medication to see what would happen, and went back to the doctors, had blood tests, and they were like, your cholesterol's perfect. What's going on? I said, I have quit alcohol. And she said, doctor was amazed. She said, well, actually that will do that, because alcohol really has an impact on cholesterol. I was like, oh my God, nobody has ever told me that.
Yeah.
I can't believe that the medical profession never said, how much do you drink?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like they don't say it because they probably expect people not to stop.
They don't say it enough. Like I've read the website of NHS, and from what I remember, they do say that like any alcohol isn't a good amount, but if you're gonna do it this. But
Moderate.
it should be like, look, don't drink.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's poison and alcohol's a poison. But I feel like I think we've said this before. Like, there must be something stopping. I mean, aside from the fact that everybody does it, there must be.
Money.
There must be, yeah, like the big
Yeah.
corporations and the big companies that are involved in it. There must be some kind of thing that says we're not having too much of this, you know, directing everybody away, because it's the science. The science is there. It's real, isn't it?
But I guess that's why it's good to see that this science is being spoken about more, or it feels that way. Maybe we're just obviously we're in the sober community circle now from a social media perspective, so we're getting shown it. But you'd hope that others are seeing, but maybe not. You don't know, do you? Because you don't know what other people's algorithms are showing. So maybe it's
I think there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of good information. I think it's quite confusing for a lot of people, because they'll see, like, some research will say, oh, it's okay to have a glass of red wine. Like, well, the study is based on kind of the fact that they looked at a community in, like, Greece that had lots of other things that were making them have longevity, etc. So it was, you know, the one glass of wine wasn't the thing. It was the fact that they've got community and they're eating a Mediterranean diet and they are exercising. So there's lots of other things that were making them live to kind of over 100 or whatever it is. So it's not necessarily the glass of red wine. So I think
that might have made them live to 110.
Well,
exactly.
there was a woman on, like, Good Morning the other day. I think it was Good Morning or one of them shows, and she was like, I think she was like 100 and odd, and they were like, "What's the secret?" And she was like, "A shot of brandy every day." And I was like thinking, it's not going to be the shot of brandy.
And they put that out there. That is mental.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
So terrible.
It is culturally, I think, when you go to a GP, it's culturally acceptable that people drink, and you know, for people to be told, well, like, you know, I'm not an alcoholic. I'd never hit rock bottom, and so I wasn't in that category to even have a conversation with me about it.
Yeah,
that's important. That's why it's important, and that, you know, there is a voice out there for people who aren't at that stage where you would be like, I've hit rock bottom, because it's almost like, is that the option? You either drink or stop when you've hit rock bottom. It's like, there should be like, no, I just want to feel better. I know I'm educated on what alcohol actually is now, and I've decided consciously not to put that in my system. Like, it should be like anything that makes you sick or is bad for you.
Yeah. So in terms of I'm going to go back to you, Brie, just regarding kind of your career then, in terms of that and how that impacted you, because it feels like, you know, you mentioned you went to the States as well, and then obviously you're in the hospitality world, and like I imagine that the hospitality world in the States is a bit different to how it was in the UK, maybe, or just to talk through kind of how, I guess, your career and working in hospitality was a part of your drinking, and I guess where you are now with that, just to understand that a bit more.
So, I mean, I started my hospitality journey in the States, and like I mentioned, I mean, we would drink at work every shift. I would drink at work, and I would kind of get through the shift not sober, but I was able to kind of cash up at the end of the night just about, and then stumble to the next place. And then we were just
drinking. Sorry but just on that point though, in America, is it a different type of environment in America, like a different drinking than it is in the UK? Because the UK is very binge heavy, I would argue, and you know, we're almost seen as the country that is the binge drinkers, aren't we, really, for the UK? So just, was it different in the States in terms of alcohol and the perception?
I mean, I wasn't of drinking age when I moved there. I know that people, I mean, I had a fake ID, so I still went out. It's not the same kind of binge culture, but I think because of the industry that I was in, and also young people still do, it's just more frowned upon, I guess, instead of
Yeah,
kind of like a rite of passage,
yeah,
as it
Right.
is
or
here.
hidden, isn't it? Yeah.
It's hidden, yeah. So, but I think because it was the industry that I was in, and it was the fact that I'd already kind of started my drinking journey in the UK, and then I turned 18, and then we moved to America, where it's 21. So I was like, I'm not going to have my drinking rights taken away from me. I've already turned 18. I'm continuing. So I did. Um, and yeah, and then when I came back and I went to uni, I kind of stopped. I did quite well in uni. I still went out a few times, but I
Yeah,
did
very focused,
I focused in uni. Um, and then yeah, and then when I graduated, I went straight back to America and just jumped back into the hospitality industry, and that was that really. I think it's a work hard, play hard culture, and I think it's such a long like shift that you do around loads of other people that are drinking, and it's just exhausting. And like I think the only way that I felt I could get through it was to just join in. um but then even like recent roles that I've had before I kind of transitioned into what I'm doing now, um I had a corporate job in corporate catering, project management, but I would be setting up bars, and my team outings were all, I mean, we didn't work in a bar. I worked in an office or at home, and then we would travel to different locations and kind of set them up and meet with the team and stuff. But all of our team outings, they would all be focused around drinking. We would have meetings in bars. We would, there wasn't any other option. So when I'd quit drinking when I had started this role, and it was really difficult for me because I would be sitting in the bar and everybody would be drinking around me, and I would be trying to talk through a presentation and people would just be talking all over each other, and I just feel like this is just bonkers. And there was quite a few times, it was quite a few times where I was just like, I can't do this. And I spoke to my boss and this is just, not how this should be. But I kind of got a bit fobbed off, it's just like, I don't know what your problem is. This is what we're doing. And it led me
That's
to
almost feel like an outsider then.
I was an outsider,
Yeah.
and I was made to feel guilty when I said, I'm going to go back to my hotel, get some rest because I want to get up in the morning and run or whatever it is I was doing. And he would be like, I really think that you need to stay down here and speak to the clients or speak to the team, or, it's not good. You've just started this role. You need to be kind of showing that you're making an effort, da, da, da. And I'm like, it's 11 o'clock at night. I've already stayed 2 hours in this bar. What more of an effort do you want from me? I don't even do this with friends, let alone so I sacked it in.
So because that's huge, isn't it? Obviously, you've gone on this kind of journey very much of yourself to help yourself and heal and go through the kind of health journey that you've gone on. But then that's such a big shift to kind of turn away from a career as well that you've built up. Is that coming through okay? That you've built up, and then to kind of walk away from that is so strong and a bit scary.
Yeah, I mean it was so gradual, and I think because I had drinking, I was able to deal with that big change, that big kind of transition was a lot, it was just a lot smoother because I had clarity around what it is I was doing. So, I started by studying for the new career path that I wanted to take, and when the time was right and I didn't feel aligned anymore, I tried to stick it out as long as I could so I could buy a house. And then as soon as I'd done that, I was like, right, I'm out.
Yeah. Wow.
But it was a 4-year process, wasn't it? It wasn't a rash decision. It was hard to leave because that was also my identity. It was drinking and hospitality.
I remember saying to you, because you remember calling me from London in a bar, and I just said, what are you doing? You are sober setting up bars. That is completely ridiculous.
It was completely ridiculous, but I didn't listen.
Good advice.
Well, it didn't align, and when it becomes so difficult, it's I'm just trying to think of a metaphor that would describe what you were doing, but it was just
Well,
Yeah,
my job, my specific role was deploying technology that would help other people in sports and entertainment venues, like people that are visiting the O2 or football stadiums, to be able to drink faster and more alcohol, and to basically get rid of people's job. So I put in robots to help people drink faster.
Just
Completely.
the opposite to where you're.
So yeah. So I had to really kind of think that maybe that's not for me.
Yeah.
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 I think when you go through this process of
You change.
becoming sober,
You
your
change.
identity really
Yeah.
does shift, and you start to think, actually, what am I doing? And
Who am I?
even at 57, like I started to think, who am I?
Yeah.
What do I want to do with my life? And yeah, there's a real shift, definitely.
Well, it's growth, and I don't think you get. I don't feel like I grew when I was drinking. Yes, I might have got better jobs with more money, but that it never grew. I was kind of the same
Yeah.
person over and over again. And I think you shed skins and change and develop when you're not drinking, because you have time to think about, okay, well, what's important to me now?
Yeah. Which is scary.
Yeah.
I do think that's something that I think scares me quite a lot, because I know I am changing, like, and my identity kind of keeps coming up in this conversation. I feel like we should dig into that more, but it's like you are changing, aren't you? And that's when you've lived a specific life for so long, to kind of face that every time there's a new kind of challenge within your sober journey. It's scary. And when you fundamentally changing your identity, and for the better, like it's all for the better, but it is quite a harsh slap of reality coming at you.
Yeah, I still have I still have like those moments where for a brief second I'll just be like, am I never drinking again? And then it's like, of course I'm not drinking again. Like, but you just, even though everything's going the best it's ever been, I'm healthy, I'm happy, I'm like, I've not been ill.
Yeah, we were saying the other day, we've not been ill.
Same thing.
Mum
Yeah.
just told me to not say it because I'd jinx it, but I haven't been ill in 2 years.
Even with all that, like, I'll still turn around and go, yeah, but I'm not going to get drunk. It's like, yeah, you're not going to get drunk. Like, why would you? But it's so ingrained. It's so ingrained, and it's so part of everything that's been what I've perceived as, like, happiness and fun growing up. It's like, it is tough to move away from it.
Especially when you like, a lot of our friendship group obviously still drink as well, so you see that around you. That was one thing I was going to actually ask you, Polly, as well, in terms of, obviously, you've gone sober at 57, you're now 61, which is incredible. Like, applause just for that. How have you felt or seen any differences doing this at your age versus kind of what you've seen of Brie in her age? Like, has there been any like generational differences or pressures more so that you felt maybe that Brie hasn't? Or how has it been kind of making that decision at 57? Because that is bold.
Yeah, I think younger people are much more acceptable of it, and you see it a lot more that younger people are not drinking and looking at alternatives, and a lot more hip to kind of ideas around their health and fitness, and
Yeah.
that is just very, very different to kind of my age group. And I don't have any friends. Well, I've got. Well,
I don't have any
friends that are not drinking, who
Quit
don't
drinking.
drink.
Don't have any friends.
Oh no, who are sober. I've got some friends who are reducing it.
Since they met you,
yeah, and I'm having people having conversations with me about it individually, not in groups, but they'll say, "How have you done it? I just want to find out." And they're just cute. They are curious about it. But actually, my age group, a lot of women, and men are drinking, particularly the people who are going into retirement as well. You see,
Yeah.
you know, that time of having that extra time and the kind of the drink and kind of wine culture and going to the golf club or whatever it is. And I was just in terms of I'm doing this sober summer, and there's a couple of people wanted to try to get onto it, and they're like, oh, I've got so many events coming up, and I've got holidays, and you'll always have those things. Yeah. And so when you're suddenly kind of people in my age bracket, they're always doing things. They've always got a cruise or a holiday or this or that. So they just cannot
Never a right time.
find that right time. So I think that's a big issue for people in my kind of age bracket.
Yeah, that's really interesting actually when you think about retirement, because of course, like you've got more time to do the things that you enjoy. And what do you enjoy? Well, typically there'll be a drink in as part of that.
A warm place.
Yeah.
That's almost more difficult in some ways, isn't
Yeah,
it?
absolutely. Yeah.
Definitely. I feel
Looking for that time, Phil.
I think as well it's like I feel so lucky and grateful that I'm in this mindset and I've managed to move away from it. Like, because I know how hard it is to get that sort of momentum and actually do it. And I just feel so grateful like that I'm able to go, shall I have a drink? No, I don't want one.
How did this happen? Like, I always think to myself, like, this cannot be something that I decided to do for myself. It's bonkers.
I know. But I think going back to the age thing, and a lot of people kind of go into that mindset of saying, oh, it's too late. Why would I do it now? And actually it makes such a difference. Even I can see in 4 years what I can do now in terms of my health and my fitness, has just zoomed in terms of how I feel. I feel completely different. So to do that in 4 years at my age,
yeah, definitely.
People, actually, you can do it. You can feel completely.
I think it's like incredible. Like that's like you say, like do it at your age, and for it to have had the impact. I think that's the difference. It's like you're showing the impact that it can have at your age, which is incredible. And like you say, you've turned your health completely upside down. You've cured yourself, which is just incredible. And you're doing pull-ups at 61, which is amazing. Like I cannot do a pull-up.
What was the tagline that you said last time?
Pints to pull-ups.
From pints to
pull-ups, yeah.
I love that.
I just posted one which was tequila to trap bar deadlifts.
Oh yeah, that was a good one as well. Mental.
Oh, I love that. So going back to you two then as mother and daughter, so how has it changed your relationship from before youth up to now? Like how's your relationship as mother and daughter evolved over the time?
Yeah. Oh, it's so
Very
much better.
calm.
Yeah, very, very calm. We now have like business meetings instead of like crying over the phone meetings, or even like
Can you
phone
send me
calls,
some money?
or can you send me some money, and all of those things. So I worried a lot about Hilbury because obviously my drinking was mainly at home, but hers wasn't. It was out, going out, and put yourself into situations that were quite precarious and quite dangerous at times.
I
And
would
so
go
I
to
would
party
really,
on my own.
yeah,
Party out on my own.
yeah,
Like you said, just doesn't matter who's coming with me. I'll go out.
yeah. So I was to not have that anymore. That's really I don't worry like I did worry before. And I think
I don't think our relationship has changed. Like we still talk about the same things. I feel like it's not like we still talk about food, and we still have like the things that we like to do. We just don't do them with drinking now.
Yeah,
which is
we've got
nice.
more time, I think, we
catch
catch up
yeah.
on things, and we have more conversations. Like
around health.
I'm just doing this NLP course, this neuro-linguistic programming. So I've just been talking to Hilbury about some of the kind of things in it and some of the language we use about mindset change and stuff like that, which is kind of deep.
Yeah, what did we even talk about before? I'm trying to think,
I know.
actually.
What did we talk about? Just bullshit, probably. I don't know.
same conversations over and over again.
Yeah.
That's it. And at least now you guys are talking about something it fills you, it feeds the soul, doesn't it? When you're doing positive things and you're talking about positive things, and it's just more positive, isn't it?
And deeper, like you're just saying then, but it's like a deeper level, isn't it? Like, and obviously because you're feeding yourself with new learnings, new knowledge, be it health, neuro, and anything, like that's what you're sharing, like that's what you then bring to the world, but to each other as well.
Moving forward, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're moving forward. So if you're learning, you're constantly talking about new things. Like you said, conversations before might have just been the same things on repeat, just said in a different way.
Yeah, I know there's people that can have interesting conversations and be drinkers, but I just wasn't one of them. I was consumed by the drinking. So I think if your identity is drinking, then that's all you would talk about. Nights out, things that have happened, crazy things that have happened, stories.
Yeah.
That's that. But I'm very grateful to have someone close that is not a drinker. I think it's quite hard when you don't have, like, you guys have each other. Like, I have my partner who doesn't drink either, but I can imagine, well, you have said, friends that drink, and it's harder, isn't it?
Yeah, it is harder. I think I mean I have to do a lot of kind of controlling of that. Like, so if I'm going to meet people, I try to meet them at lunchtime so I can, there's an exit strategy. No, I don't want to spend all night with people kind of repeating the same thing over and over. So if I do go out with friends who are going to have a drink, it's kind of a lunchtime or suggesting a walk or something where there's more of an activity than just, and people are into that. It's just I don't want to go on a kind of night out drinking. It doesn't interest me.
I don't want to go out past 8 p.m.
No, exactly.
So, unless it's watering the garden in the summer, I literally will not leave my house.
But I think our relationship has definitely blossomed. Definitely.
I would use that word.
Yeah, I think it is. And we talk about nutrition. I was just telling you about that app, and I was going around zapping everything.
And I said I already had it.
I know, so it's just like,
behind.
oh, behind.
Love it. So is there any advice that you would give to any other mothers and daughters, like, on this journey? Because it's quite rare, isn't it, to experience it? Or any advice
that are not on the journey
that you would give
Mother and daughters on this journey,
or that could be contemplating it?
I just think for anybody who wants to kind of develop a better relationship with anyone, if you're like, in your 40s and you've got young children, if you want to be more present with them, having alcohol is not a way to do that. I think if you're having challenges with your relationship, alcohol is going to really impose more challenges in terms of the issues that you're going through. And I'm a sobriety coach now, so a lot of things when I'm coaching people, they come in with a lot of baggage around relationships, and that absolutely the relationship is the issue with the alcohol. Once you take that away and you start to kind of look at the relationship, actually it can improve because you haven't got that issue anymore where things can get out of control fairly quickly. I think
patience as well, because like if one person's on the journey and the other person isn't, it can be quite tempting to kind of start being preachy or from a place of love, like wanting them to kind of get on, do what you're doing and try the non-drinking thing. But sometimes it's just good to kind of stay in your lane, do what you're doing, and people will just see that. I think you don't really need to, like Mum said, when I quit drinking, I didn't really shout. Did I?
No,
I wasn't
no.
shouting about it and
absolutely not.
pouring things down I wasn't being crazy. I was just kind of getting on with myself, sticking to what I was doing, and it, just shining that light, and people kind of see.
Yeah, absolutely. I just thought I want a bit of that.
I think that's it. You don't need to be preachy in doing it. I know, we're doing this podcast, but I don't think we're like preachy. We're just kind of talking about experiences and sharing other people's experiences. And in doing that, you raise the awareness around what could be, and that's
yeah, for me, it's like everyone is free, obviously, to do what they want to do. And even though I know the harmful effects of alcohol now, uh, if somebody can have a life where they feel like it fits in and they don't want to let it go, it brings them some sort of joy, and they don't want to stop there. Fair enough. And my message is more for people that were in my situation, because I can only talk from my experience. So, if you're well aware that alcohol is causing a problem for you, and you know that if you took it away, your problems would stop, um, then it's about trying to find a way to do that. And if me talking about it can help somebody resonate with me, then yeah. And you're slightly different to me with your experience, and you guys are different to me with your experience. So I think, everybody just gets that opportunity then to maybe resonate with something that you're saying, don't they?
And it's easier when you can resonate with someone to start thinking about the effect that then it could have on your life. For sure.
Yeah, no, completely. 100%. Yeah, it's about having conversation and making those connections and drip feeding a little bit in when you can with people and just exploring it. And if they ask, telling them.
Yeah.
Leave the door open.
Yeah. So what does life look like for you both now then? What is life after alcohol in sobriety?
Well, for me, so in 2 years into sobriety, I decided to do sober coach training with Jane Lee Grace and the Sober Club. So I did that in the June 2023. I then had to do some real kind of exploring for myself around being able to think about letting go of the job that I've done for the last 30 years in leadership. And that was a real challenge for me to kind of get to the point where I felt like I could retire, because I didn't feel like I wanted to retire. So I've gone through this journey of going to 3 days a week, and since then I was able to spend the time setting up my business as a sober coach. And so I've been doing that, and it's going really well. And I'm leaving my full-time position in 18 days now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, and the coaching is really expanding. So as I was saying, I'm doing my NLP practitioner, because what I've realized when I've been coaching people more and more, it's kind of the mindset and that habit for change, and really looking at kind of the whole holistic, the whole person, and how, as we've been talking about, how that identity shifts. So people kind of go through the process and think, actually, what do I want to do with my career? What do I want to do with my life? So it's that next step once the kind of sobriety, when they've got that sobriety. So I'm helping them kind of actually imagine their best life, really.
Yeah, amazing. And what do you feel? Do you feel like your work in educational leadership has helped you with this role that you've now built in terms of a sober coach? Do you think the two have kind of played quite well together?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I've worked in kind of special needs, mental health, and I've coached a lot of kind of head teachers. So I've done a lot of coaching in line management in my roles that I've had. So definitely there's elements of that I do in leadership. But also we've had an opportunity to be a little bit more proactive within the kind of corporate area of education, to be able to think about how we support our employees. So I was able to, with Hilbury, we did a session on alcohol, because we know that there are kind of issues around kind of the Mondays off that people have, and we can see that in lots and lots of companies. I'm sure, I don't have the data on me, but we know what happens on Mondays. Everybody gets a sore tummy, don't they, and digestive issues, etc., probably from the booze that they've drunk. But anyway, just that experience of being able to talk to it. And I think there is some corporate responsibility for around that we need to have those conversations. So my employees have been very forthcoming about allowing us to do that. I've been able to do a newsletter out around kind of Dry January, which was great, and got some really good feedback. And a couple of people, you know, fed back, and actually when we did the piece together, a couple of people actually remained sober, which was fantastic to be able to impact on them.
Huge.
So yeah,
Yeah.
really big.
Amazing.
So
And
absolutely.
within your coaching then, so for anyone that's like listening and that would be interested in kind of exploring that, how does it typically work with your coaching? What's the general process? How do they reach out to you? Like what happens within the coaching, just so that anyone that's interested has a bit more of an understanding?
So- yeah. So my handle on Instagram is Sober Coach Polly, and I've got a website which is Sober Coach Polly as well. I run a clarity call, which is a free 20 minutes, so we can kind of talk about what the person's looking for and see if there's a good connection with that person. And then if they kind of want to move forward and we kind of have a good vibe between us, I then have a kind of 2-month program. So it's really kind of 9 sessions. So we do a 60-minute kind of history of like what's been going on. And so I can kind of make it quite bespoke. And then I do 8 sessions, which are like 45 minutes per session. And at the beginning, it's around unpicking and understanding what the person's why is. And that's really important, as we all know, finding out why you want to do it and holding on to that why. And then looking at kind of the toolkits they need, what they've got coming up, if they've got weddings or any celebrations. So really going through that kind of in-depth planning. So it's really like developing a career for people. It's like their sobriety career. What does that look like? How are we going to support you on that journey? And that's how I kind of frame it, really. Yeah, and then it's kind of that habit change and nutrition, etc. And then so it is quite holistic. So it's about building that new identity, as I say. So it's not just quitting alcohol. It's about actually, so what are you eating, and how are you kind of moving your body? So it's all the things, and suddenly you've got all this time. Well, how are you going to use it? What are we going to do?
Yeah.
So it's like building your kind of your values and what's important to you, and coming out the other side feeling really energized and ready to kind of build your new life. Yeah.
Nice. Almost like the building blocks, isn't it, of
Absolutely. Yeah. And I've got a group coaching course as well, which has started today, which is a summer group. So it's a 1-month kind of trial, kind of community, see what it's like to kind of go through that as a group. And then they get a one-to-one at the end with me about kind of next steps and to see how they go. And a lot about the education around sobriety on the month. So it's around kind of giving people the opportunity to look at different podcasts and look at different YouTube's videos, etc. So lots of education and quit lit. Yeah.
I'm
Nice.
excited to be involved. Very, very glad to
Yeah, now I'm excited as well.
And how about you,
Cool.
Brie? What's happening?
What are you doing? Oh my
Are you
goodness. Yeah.
career changed
What
as
you not
well?
doing?
Yeah. Yeah, I think like this identity theme, I think, is the big one. So when I quit drinking, I very quickly realized that I didn't have any hobbies, and I wanted to get fit, but I didn't actually realize that getting fit was my hobby. So it kind of just slowly over that first year of sobriety merged into, oh, this is who I am now. And that kind of turned into me going and studying and getting my level 3 personal training and my yoga teacher training and my life coaching training. And which allowed me to finally quit my job. So I work full time as a yoga teacher, personal trainer, and my partner and I, who is also sober and a strength and conditioning coach, we're going to be opening a new facility and studio in September. So busy, managing more things, but not booze things. Yay.
Yeah. Non-boosting.
So yeah, but I mean, not booze things. But I think the biggest thing is yes, career. We talked a lot about career stuff, but I think it's just how does life look like for me now is just peaceful. Like it's still chaotic. I'm bringing good chaos into my life and I'm busy and I'm moving and I'm excited, but I'm not up and down. I'm peaceful, like for the most part. And that's the biggest thing for me is just being able to wake up and being like, oh my God, I like myself. I've got the same amount of money in my bank account. I'm all right. Everything's fine. You know, that kind of confidence and calm clarity.
Yeah. And there is, and I guess within that is the ability to be able to manage the stress as well. Because I think that's one thing, like, we've done loads recently, like bought a house, doing sobriety, like doing courses, like things, like similar to you both. But you're just able to manage that in amongst life stresses that come in as well. Like, and that's a thing in itself. Like, my mum was sadly ill last year, and I just don't know if I would have been able to actually cope with that if all that was going on as well. So I think, like you say, there's just that kind of clarity and confidence and calmness that even if you've got other things coming in and hitting you, it doesn't impact it as much, does it?
It's like you say, the peace. It's like you hear. Maybe you go up a bit, maybe you go down a bit, but you remain like here. Whereas before it was like extreme highs, but then it's like boom for you down there, and it's like up down, mentally, physically, you're just all over the show. Whereas now you've just got that sort of consistency.
Strength.
Consistency, isn't it? And it's nice, especially when you're used to it not being nice. It's just good.
It's so nice.
DryWaffle.
So one last question that we ask all our guests to kind of close out and end this on is our new little game. is we ask kind of something bliss, so something you absolutely love about your new sober life, and then something you miss. You might not miss anything, but you might miss something. So sharing both of your blisses and your misses.
Bliss and miss.
So bliss for me is mornings. So to be awake, I get up really early. I get up at like 5 o'clock every morning, and that peace is my bliss when nobody else is up. And if I can go out walking and see the sunrise, that is just my bliss completely.
That's your bliss as well, isn't it? Bobby's bliss is the morning.
Yeah, so good. And I honestly, there is nothing I could say about alcohol that I miss at all. I can't think of anything that, no, nothing.
Good.
I agree. That's my miss as well. I don't have one, but I do. It's not to say I don't sometimes have a little bit of and then I remember that it's actually shit, really.
Yeah.
You know,
and it's momentary.
Fleeting.
Yeah.
I have one like tiramisu, like like something like that. And I think I'm not gonna. I wouldn't have it.
Yeah,
because it's got alcohol in it.
You have tiramisu. Oh wow.
No, I just think, oh no, I can't.
I don't like red wine sauce anymore.
I know, like
it gives
red
me
wine sauce and like that. Nah. Wow. And if it says it's got alcohol on a menu, but there's lots of desserts. There was one today, I can't remember what it was when I was out. It was like
Bailey
pineapple. Yeah, Bailey's cheesecake. It was pineapple in a rum something, and I was like, the coconut ice cream sounded nice, but I couldn't have
just
the
have
rum.
a bowl of that.
Yeah. Probably desserts.
My miss. My
bliss? Yeah.
I would say there's so many. Number one, probably connection to other people. I feel like I know I didn't really connect with people on any level other than surface. So I think now being sober just allows me to have much deeper connections with people. My social battery is very low. Is that how you say it? Yeah, I've got a small social battery. But when I do go out and I speak to people and I have a lunch date or whatever it is with a friend, I feel like we really kind of get down to it, and we talk about everything and we go deep, and it's just so much nicer when I go away from those kind of dates or kind of meetings, whatever, with kind of this feeling of like, oh, like I feel whole now. I've actually had like a really nice time speaking to a friend, and before it would just be like, I actually don't know what we spoke about.
Yeah, and you were more concerned in where the beer's coming from, where the next drink's coming from, rather than anything.
Yeah. We need connection. We're human beings, and I think a lot of us use booze for that connecting piece, and it just doesn't work.
It's actually probably more important now than it's ever been to connect on those levels, just as a result of the way that like the world is with social media and society and stuff. And obviously it's easier to connect, but are you actually connecting on a deeper level? Like you'd probably argue no. Like, so actually being able to have those really deep and meaningful conversations where you're actually like engaged in what they're saying rather than waiting to butt in because your mind's off on something else, like is such a level of conversation. And
well, alcohol stops you caring about like little things, doesn't it? Like or the meaningless things. It's like when we, for most people that sort of drink, it's you're sort of consumed with just having more of it, aren't you? And it's you don't really care about other things. Why would I want to go for a walk? I'd rather go to the pub. Like you know, it's but yeah.
Anything you miss?
No, I said no, nothing.
No.
Like fleeting moments where I'm like, oh, everyone's kind of in a beer garden relaxing, and it's the sun's shining and they're laughing, and then I'm like, oh wait, hold on, beer's gross, this is all a lie. I don't I'm okay, I can keep walking. I still get those moments. I mean, even almost 5 years, I still get those moments. Even when I'm on holiday, I'll be like, oh, I could probably just drink and no one would know. But I just like, why would I do that?
No, and I think it's important. I think this is why we ask it, because I think it's important for people to hear that, you know, it's fine to still think about it and miss it a bit.
And have those moments.
And you're not doing it wrong, or you know, it doesn't mean that you're different to the person who seems like they never think about alcohol anymore. Like I think it's important to know that it's probably always going to maybe niggle at you a little bit, and but you know it's normal, and keep going.
Yeah, definitely. Right. Well, thank you both so much. I think it's just so nice and refreshing to hear both your journeys, and the fact I think that you've both gone, you know, not only have you kind of gone sober and made those kind of positive decisions for yourself and your health and your well-being, but you've also made these amazing career shifts and changes and turn your, you know, worlds around and upside down in that way. But then as well, you're now helping others on their journey, be it health or sobriety. So, you know, it's honestly, both of you just so inspirational, and we're really grateful for you coming on and sharing your story with us today. And thank you so much.
Thank you for having us on.
Thank you for asking us. We've really enjoyed it, and it's been great.
Brilliant. Thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
DryWaffle.